Please help me in welcoming Reverend Kent Barnard to further Aglow.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I love this community. It's just so powerful. You have so many things going on, and I just feel the love, even though I see everybody in 2-dimension. I feel the love just flowing, and I'm so honored to be here. In your invocation, you mentioned that the ground we stand on is holy if we say it is. And so I declare that for all of us, that it is really holy because we say it is. It is that I am presence. And I want to share a little bit about myself. Currently, the Center for Universal Spiritual Principles is on hold for right now because I'm going through my own personal journey of healing. I had 2 back surgeries recently, and the first surgery left my left leg a little dysfunctional. So my focus right now is on my personal healing. However, my ministry is open to the evolution of what I want my next step will be, and that is with soul levity, so that we can look at what our soul desires are, and once we really dig deep, then we can play with an idea that our soul yearns for, so that we can levitate our soul. I'm not talking about beyond gravity, but perhaps beyond gravity. So I want to start off with a quote from A Course in Miracles. The quote says, "Seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world." Seek not to change the world, but seek to change your mind about the world. And we heard Daniel Nahmod's song referring to the diversity of people, the clothing we wear, the different religions, our skin colors, our names, our cultures. And there's a line that he says, I don't know if you remember the line, but he says, "Different is dangerous when we forget that in our heart we're all the same." Different is dangerous when we forget that in our heart we're all the same. And in terms of how we view our spiritual nature on this planet, there are so many ways of approaching spirituality, whether it's through an established religion or simply clinging on to quantum physics. Inevitably, all of the world religions which teach love lead to God. All of them which teach love lead to God. It doesn't matter what our religious tradition has been or might currently be. I want to embrace that part of it that teaches love. In Daniel Nahmod's song, he says, "Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angel's wings or heaven's door." He says it's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign, it's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. Whatever name you give it, it is one power. And it's the very air we breathe. And bottom line, it's the very power contained in each and every one of us, without exception. So today, for all intents and purposes, I will be calling it one power. And it really doesn't, if that doesn't work for you, you can come up with some name that is more palatable for you. Some people are triggered by the word God. I'm not, but a lot of people are. And I have a feeling this group is not triggered by that word. And you can substitute it with the word love. But whatever you call it, it still cannot be defined because it's infinite. And I know I've tried, and I cannot define it. My good friend and brother and colleague and mentor, Dr. Charles Geddes, calls it the big know-it-all. And I really love that. It's the infinite knower, the big know-it-all. Not only does it know it all, it does it all. It does it all by means of the vehicle of who each and every one of us is. It's the knower and the actor in this infinite field of energy that we live in. And being infinite, it is everywhere infinitely. It's the entirety of me, it's the entirety of you. And we are all immersed and steeped in this invisible field, which I like to call the infinite field, actually the infinite intelligent field of energy. So most of you have heard the phrase, there's not a spot where God is not. And many of us think, well, I'm just a little tiny speck in this universe. No, you are not. You are not a tiny speck of God. You are all of it. Think about it. How can we not be all of it? All of God's qualities are contained in each and every one of us at all times because it's infinite. And how can I be excluded from something that's infinite? So every part of every one of you is God in expression. No exceptions. None. Whatever I declare I am is God in expression. Reverend Marzia mentioned, I am that, I am. I am that, I am. So what are you I aming right now? What are you I aming in this moment? What are you I aming minute by minute, day by day, month by month, year by year? Whatever I say I am, the one power says, yes, you are. I am confused. Yes, you are. I am sad. Yes, you are. One power, it says yes to everything. Yes, you are. I'm seeing with better clarity. Yes, you are. I am feeling better now. Yes, you are. I'm beginning to understand. Yes, you are. The deal is, I am is the entire meal. If there's one takeaway from this whole talk today, I am is the entire meal. Whatever issues we face or are confronted by, it's vital to remember that there is only one source, one power, one energy of causation in the entire cosmos, one love. Many of us were raised with the notion that there are two powers, one for good and one for evil. And if you really think about it, the belief in two powers is really the cause of all of the conflict on this planet. Think about it. The belief in dueling powers is a misguided belief. And somehow the majority of people on this planet have bought into it. So the title of my talk today, you might have guessed, One Power, One Love. And that's what I want to address today, is that belief in dualism, or the belief in two conflicting powers. Because when we do that, we think that we have to battle one power against another power. And when we believe in two separate powers, we're truly giving our own personal power away to a contagion of nightmares, which wastes our vital energies There is no darkness. There is no devil to fight against. Unless we say there is, I am. There is no devil. There is no darkness to fight against. And in New Thought, we teach there's only one power, one source of energy, one infinite being. And I'm not talking about the noun being. I'm talking the verb being, which implies the action and the activity of God. And we as individuals are all being in some sort of activity, some action, and that action and activity of God cannot be defined, because remember, it is infinite, and it's the infinite know-it-all. And many of us were brought up in traditional religions where we were taught that God is a man somewhere up in the sky, and if you got on his good side, you might get what you want. And if you got on his bad side, and if you pray hard enough, you might make him angry, and then you might be sentenced to hell or somewhere in between, which adds to more confusion. And still, many of our traditional religions teach us that there's a power for good and there's a power for evil. But at the same time, they're saying there's only the power of God. So how can you say there's a power of God? However, there's a power for good and a power for evil. You've heard the phrase resist not evil in many traditional religions. And if you really think about it, evil is really a non-realization of love. That's all it is. To resist evil would be to fuel our own illusions of duality, so that we give power away to something that is non-existent, unless we say it is. So there's a quote by Ernest Holmes who says, when Jesus said, resist not evil, he meant that non-recognition of evil is the only way to avoid it. This is true according to the law of cause and effect. For what we persist in recognizing, we persist in holding in place. That which we refuse to recognize, we neutralize, and it is no longer there so far as we are concerned. Ernest Holmes. In other words, if we label someone as evil or someone's behavior as evil, we are believing that person has power and dominion, right? Don't we do that? So we are affirming that evil has power over our lives or over our affairs. And what is happening is this evil person is acting out of their own non-realization of love. That's it. They have this non-realization that love exists. They are fueling their beliefs in duality, good versus bad. In other words, this evil person is crying out from a fear that love does not exist. Think about it. Think of those people who we label evil. They are crying out from a fear that love does not exist, that they have to get it, they have to buy it, they have to steal it, that whatever. Well, I personally refuse to recognize that there is a power in evil. And in doing so, I am neutralizing its existence. So I have a way to neutralize it when I say, this person is just showing me their pain. It's neutralized. They're just showing me their pain. I don't have end of discussion. And then I have, my heart goes out to them like, there's a light within you. It might, your dimmer switch might be very, 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 very low, but there is that light within you. There's another quote by Holmes. He says, We must instill into the mind the fundamental proposition that good is without bounds. We must get this concept rather than continuing to think there is a power of evil as opposed to the power of good. We experience good and evil because we perceive a presence of duality rather than unity. Ernest Holmes. We perceive a presence of duality rather than unity. I am. Whatever I declare I am with conviction is what shows up in my world. It shows up in my experience of life, good, bad, or indifferent. Another quote by Ernest Holmes. I have a few quotes by Holmes today. He says, to affirm the presence of God is better than to deny the presence of evil. To affirm the presence of God is better than to deny the presence of evil. In other words, and then he goes on to say, evil is neither cause, medium, nor effect. It cannot emanate from God. The devil is a myth, and heaven is lost merely for the lack of an idea of harmony. And if you want to look that up, that's on page 217 in the text, Science of Mind text. The devil is a myth, and heaven is lost merely for the lack of an idea of harmony. Heaven is a state of mind. Heaven literally means expansion. Hell is a state of mind. And it literally means contraction. Think about it. It's not a place, it's not a destination. It's how we are being right here, right now. Am I living in hell? And sure, I had moments after my first surgery when I lost the function of my left leg. I was struggling. I felt like I was in hell. I had to reel myself in. I had to have help from prayer partners to reel myself in. And I know what state of mind I want to be in. I want to be in expansion. I want to be in heaven. So everything is energy. Everything is emitting energy waves or vibrations. If you strike a tuning fork on one side of the room, a tuning fork of the same frequency will vibrate on the other side of the room. Or a radio station, it sends out frequencies, vibrations. If you tune into a radio station, the right frequency will bring in that radio station. It's all energy. And as human beings, we are all energy. How can we not be? Most people think that our energy stops at the perimeters of our bodies. We are continually sending out vibrations at all times. They're either positive, neutral, negative vibrations. You've all gone into a room where there was an argument and you could just feel that, ugh. You could just cut it with a knife. You could just feel that negative energy just lingering in there. And conversely, you've gone into a room, and I will say further aglow, where you can just want to hang out. You love the energy. You want to just stay there because you feel the love. And when I'm peaceful inside, when I'm feeling peaceful, when I'm feeling love, then I'm bringing more of that. I'm attracting more of that in the form of people and ideas and situations. And conversely, when I'm emitting negative thoughts, I'm doing the same. I'm bringing in those negative ideas, those negative situations, those negative people. So there's good news and bad news. You want to hear it? The bad news is whatever we focus on, we get more of. The good news is whatever we focus on, we get more of. The current situation in the world is a primary example. When we declare war on terror, we will get more terror. When we declare a war on anything, what happens? And now that we're well into the 21st century, we're discovering that we're becoming more of a global society. We're connected on so many levels that to war against another group or a country is just to create more conflict. To impose myself, or for one country to impose itself on another country without its consent, doesn't work, especially with that justification that, oh, well, we need to fix them under the guise of, really, the guise of simple monetary gain for a few people. And our new emerging global culture is beginning to see that war serves no purpose. I mean, look at what's going on in the Ukraine. Look what's going on in Ethiopia. Look what's going on in Yemen. It serves no purpose. It's all under the guise of, oh, it needs to be fixed. These people aren't right. And from a spiritual perspective, nothing ever needs to be fixed. The only realization is to know that there is a wholeness to everything, not that things are fragmented. The appearance might look like things are fragmented, but there's a wholeness to everything. So remember the good news, whatever we focus on, we get more of. Well, there's more good news. Whenever we focus on something negative, the grace of God allows us the time and energy to turn that around and focus on what's positive. That's the grace of God. It's kind of like an insurance company with, you have a grace period. It gives you a little bit of time to say, okay, erase. I really didn't mean that. I have time to put the good out there. So when I start to see things from the possibility of wholeness rather than fragmentation, then I begin to see things as they are. And in seeing things as they are, that puts me in a position that I'm more poised to have a non-polar, a non-dualistic view of what's going on. So there, in other words, there's really no good and bad. There's no right or wrong. However, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't take a stand for what I feel to be right. So it just means that my perspective, each one of our perspectives of what's right, includes a compassion for people who might not have the same view as myself. And there are a lot of people that I could label and say they are this or they are that, but I don't know what's going on in their lives to have brought them to the conclusion of whatever their perspective is. So my definition of compassion is my ability to be with people who might have a different opinion than my own, and not having the need to convince that person that I am right, or feel that I have to justify my position. I don't have to do that. I just have to love them and honor them. And even though I might not agree with their behavior, I still have to love them. So remember, there's really only one true power, which is God, which is love. And when I really really get this concept of truth, it leaves me with an expectancy of good. No matter what is occurring, it positions me into a position of good. In his book, This Thing Called You, which Reverend Marzi, I'm glad you're going to be teaching this class. He says expectancy, Ernest Holmes said, expectancy speeds progress. Therefore, live in a continual state of expectancy. No matter how much good you're experiencing today, expect greater good tomorrow. No matter how much good you're expecting, expect greater good tomorrow. And in the same manner, if we are expecting or experiencing disharmony in any shape or form, the answer to the problem is already contained within us. It's already in the core of our being. Ernest Holmes, he says, it's not enough merely to know that divine guidance exists. You must use it. You use it by consciously recognizing its source within yourself and by deliberately calling upon it, expecting it to answer. Calling on it, expecting it to answer. We all have access to that infinite big know-it-all. We all do. And it's up to me, it's up to each one of us to make use of that divine guidance from the one power, the one love, which resides within me, which resides within you. And I like to keep my spiritual practice simple. And I'll be the first person to admit that when I get off track, I can get caught up in the drama and the fear. However, what took me hours and days, even months to get over, I can get over really quick. And it doesn't mean that I cannot reach out for help. Sometimes, as I said earlier, I have to reach out for help. Because as humanity, it's easy for us to get caught up in the idea that we have to do it all alone. Anybody been there? Yeah. And that's not to say we cannot do affirmative prayer, we cannot do our spiritual mind treatment and get results. The point is we get stuck. And when we get stuck, when I get stuck, I cannot see the truth. I'm stuck. I have to reach out. Because a lot of times I cannot see the truth beyond a shadow of a doubt. And that's where I want to be so that I can heal. And there's nothing wrong about getting stuck. We are spiritual beings first and foremost. We're also human. And it's important to honor our human self. Dr. Alma is going to be talking about the ego. That's a vital component of who we are. We all have an ego. And it's key to remember that we are all part of this one power, part of this one love. Each and every one of you is part of this one power, and you are here by no mistake. Nobody is here by mistake. We are here to exist, and we're plugged in to thrive here just as much with the same intention as the stars and the moon and the sun and the earth and the very air we breathe. And not only that, each one of you is an expression of creative genius. Do you believe it? You are. And not only that, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, we forget, don't we? It's easy. We're human. We forget. And if being a creative genius is kind of a stretch, then I invite you to stretch into this absolute truth that you are an expression of creative genius, no matter what you've been told, no matter what's gone on in your life, no matter what the occurrences have been, because infinite source is within each one of us, is within each one of you, and there's no escape. No escape. You cannot escape because it's indwelling within you. And how can it not be? There cannot be an infinite and me, or an infinite and you. There cannot be an infinite and something else. Wouldn't that be an oxymoron? If it's infinite, it's the whole deal. We are each individualized expressions of the one power, the one love, tapped into the flow of life through our humanity. In every moment, in this moment of eternity, we are eternal beings. And harmony and joy are the natural outlets for each one of us to express. So the question becomes, how much truth can I really accept and embody about this concept? Can I really accept it all? Might be a stretch. That's really the truth. So when I focus on God from an absolute perspective, when I focus on the divine nature and everything from an absolute perspective, I have the ability to quiet my thoughts, as Reverend Marzia did, as we did that invocation where we got still and became more still and became more still. We're quieting our thoughts. When we do that, we're able to start to see people and situations beyond any appearances to the contrary. And then we're able to discern what our next steps are. We don't react, we respond. We respond. One power, it says yes to whatever we say we are. One power, it says yes. I am getting more clarity about my spirituality. Yes, you are. I am healing my physical body. Yes, you are. I'm beginning to understand the way it works. Yes, you are. Remember, I am is the entire meal. The entire meal. That's it. And so it is. Thank you.
Entire meal. Perfect. Thank you so much, Reverend Kent. And now the floor is open for any questions, suggestions, insights. Any ahas? Any?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Kent, I
Yes.
enjoyed your magnificence.
Oh, thank you.
The one true power is love, and continue sending it out to our universe, the one power. You are magnificent. Thank you.
Oh,
Reverend
thank
Isaac,
you.
let's have
Yes.
Reverend Kent back again.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, I will be so honored. And I adore Reverend Marzia. I adore this whole Further Aglow community. And yes, we did have a lot of fun, Marzia and myself in class.
Yes, you did.
She would always come up with these questions and I would sit there and go, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yes, Reverend Dr. Charles had the same challenge too.
Right.
And Dr. Alma had the same challenge too. So there, it's that common thing is, it's Marcia. I don't know what it is about her, but there's something about her that
It's because you have an endearing, inquisitive nature, and that's what's so wonderful about one of the many facets that's so wonderful about you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I must mention that Reverend Kent was one of the persons that gave me a mandate at my ordination. And that was enthusiasm I never forget. And I figured he's so big on levity and enthusiasm, that is probably why his next venture has the word levity in it. So thank you again, Reverend Kent.
Thank you.
Marcia, it's Reverend
Oh,
Glenn.
Reverend Glenn.
Hey, Kent, just wanted to say good morning, first of all.
Hey, Reverend Glenn, how are you?
Great to see you.
Well, I don't see you.
You know what? I'm staying off camera. I'm at a undisclosed secret location this morning. And my hair and makeup people are not traveling with me, so I'm going to stay off camera.
Okay.
But I wanted to thank you, first of all, for keying in on the subject of duality, which is such a great subject for any science of mind teacher. It kind of keyed in with my dogs and chocolate talk of a couple of weeks ago. And I started writing my next talk based on what you were talking about this morning.
Yay.
First of
Awesome.
all, the idea of levity beyond gravity, which I see as lifting our belief above and beyond the appearances around us.
Yes.
Which is so important in our teaching, that we don't buy into the appearances, and
Right.
keep our belief above and beyond that wherever possible. And that you were talking about how, well, my words are, we expend so much of our energy trying to return to what was or what we have known. In your case, you're talking about obviously your condition of health prior to your surgery, which of course, why wouldn't that be an objective? But we forget that our entire purpose of living is to grow and evolve and expand our experiences and our consciousness. And
Absolutely.
we need to be comfortable with letting go of the past.
Absolutely.
And embracing whatever is coming toward us as what is.
Mm-hmm.
And you went on to talk about the world around us again, and we expend so much time and energy trying to make everyone else conform to our vision, and you spoke of this so eloquently, that we forget that they have their own vision, and we may not be it.
That's right.
So, Marcia, there's the crux of my next talk. I'll expand on that.
Okay, got it.
That's it. And thank you, Glenn. And also a lot of things that, and I think, I know the new direction of my ministry is to tap into the things that really frighten us, so that we can really look at it from a perspective of compassion and a perspective of curiosity, and to like the things that are we call dark, or the shadow part of things, and to really look at it from a perspective of compassion and curiosity, and see that there is something right and good in that, and that helps elevate our soul to a greater understanding and an even deeper compassion, and that's the direction my ministry is going. And thank you, Glenn.
No, absolutely. Thank you. Tune in a couple of weeks and see where this goes.
Yes.
Okay. And as Reverend Glenn was talking, I remember he, as a way of addressing the one, he said, call it Fred. That always breaks me up when he said, call it Fred. So for me, I like to go back to one of the old names, which is Yahweh. I like Yahweh. So my inner being is Yahweh.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. All right. So any more takeaways? Any more yeah buts? We'll close the section. My takeaway is I am the entire meal. That's my takeaway.
You're a happy meal.
My happy meal. Yes. In a way, my happy meal. Thank you so much again, Reverend Ken. Thank you everyone who contributed to the discussion. Thank you all for being here as we move along in our celebration.